Shalom, 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 everybody. Man, Shalom, what's up, man? Rain coming down. And while we got it going, we're going to see what's up. We're going to see what's up with Miss Shahrazad Ali's book, The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. We're going to go ahead and get into chapter 3. We've read already chapter 1 and chapter 2, so you can go back to my page and find that. If you want to catch up, and try to do this before the rain knocks out everything. The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man by Shahrazad Ali. Chapter number 3, Appearance. While it's both obvious and accurate to acknowledge that the black man is a fine physical specimen of the masculine gender, it is a good idea to study other categories of his appearance, such as his wardrobe, his jewelry, his hairstyle, and his external experience of himself, expression of himself. Excuse me. These factors help determine how he feels about himself, are examples of how he views himself, and contain innuendos regarding what message he is trying to convey to onlookers. While it can be proven that he has faltered on many of his responsibilities adjacent to his home and related areas, and while it is visibly apparent that he has compromised on his needs and been systematically thwarted by others, there is one part of him that he remains in charge of. That part is his appearance. He has throughout history attempted to dress as together and finely as possible. To start with, the marketeers and advertising firms have tricked him into being incredibly misled on the value of fashion. If he can afford to, and if it is at all possible, he will wear the best of available garments. This includes underwear, socks, shirts, leisure tops, slacks, suits, recreational wear, hats, overcoats, sport jackets, ties, scarves, and of course, his shoes, starting with shoes, which also took on an exaggerated importance. He sanctioned the idea that one of the ways a replete man, R-P-L-E-T-E, replete. One of the ways that a replete man was recognized was by what he wore on his feet. One of the ways. He sanctioned the idea that one of the ways a replete, R-E-P-L-E-T-E, replete. I need to be better writing these words down. Replete. Gorged, richly supplied, or embowed, completely filled, replete, repletion, replete. Oh, man. Replete. Starting with shoes, which also took an exaggerated importance. He sanctioned the idea that one of the ways a richly supplied man, or a completely filled man, a gorged man, a replete man, was recognized was by what he wore on his feet. Many of them wore the very best shoes with that white shoemakers can design. They may range in price from $75 to $500, depending on the designer name attached to them, the type of leather used, and the level of comfort. Some have all different colors from yellow to green, some with laces or slip ons. Shoes used to be a very necessary component to the black man's wardrobe. They were something he took pride in and a necessity. As he has become more leisure oriented, he has relaxed his shoe requirements. When the shoe industry noted this kind of trend, they quickly responded and provided footwear to reflect the mood of a less uptight male. The growing popularity of black men as basketball greats and other public sports figures, from whom many black men and black boys derive special pleasure from watching and see as heroic, gave the shoe industry an inroad to gaining their attention. So what started out as being called gym shoes are now almost strictly referred to as sneakers, running or tennis shoes. Thus arrived the importance, the acceptance of regular day-to-day wearing of gym shoes. In the societal climate where relaxation has become the major goal, sneakers appear to be the natural foot covering for this transformation. The industry responded by supplying them in all colors, weights, and ankle lengths, and attached hefty price tags ranging from $50 to $300, selling on an average to say $75 per pair. The manufacturers assigned certain catchy brand name titles to them, then developed contemporary fast track commercials to advertise them, then dropped the blockbuster whammy of an idea and started labeling the sneakers after names of basketball superstars whom black males admire. That's all there was to it. This kind of marketing launched the now multi-billion-dollar industry of sneaker sales. Practically every black man and black boy owns a pair or several pair. The younger black males, competitive in spirit, make it a fashion no to wear non-brand name sneakers or to continue to wear them after they become old, worn, or soiled. This makes it psychologically necessary not only to wear expensive designer sneakers, but to purchase them frequently so that they always look new. Preferably, one would have several pairs to match different outfits. Analyzing the sneaker craze on another level, the original design and purpose of sneakers was for exercise, playing sports games, and to ease standing and walking long distances. When the black man took to wearing sneakers all day, every day, all week throughout all seasons, it placed him in a position to always be ready to play or exhibit informal playful behavior. Excuse me, or to exhibit overly playful behavior. Keeping a black man in sneakers ensures that on a moment's notice, he will be willing to play around or jump or run immaturely. They are a sure sign of recreation. A man who wears hard bottom shoes is less apt to break into a prance or dance a jig. Hard bottom shoes require the black man to walk differently, stand differently, and they bring more seriousness to his motion and decorum. This is why professional businessmen are required to wear standard hard bottom shoes. They are a must requirement in a genuine business, social, or religious affairs among civilized, well-bred adults. The black man needs to take off the sneakers and go back to wearing hard bottom shoes. He also needs to give up wearing shorts and running suits in public and go back to donning slacks or regular pants, preferably with a belt. I'm down with the regular pants, preferably with the belt. And, jogging suits, let that go. The same goes for now fashionable slogan t-shirts. I like it. Adult black men should set an example of serious manly attire. Sneakers have single-handedly reduced almost the entire black male population to behaving like youngsters. If worn, they should be used exclusively for recreational activities and then taken off. Wearing hard bottom shoes is another way to separate the men from the boys. Currently, when refers to him as a boy, he claims it is the worst insult imaginable. If he establishes a boy's identity for himself, then he should not mind being recognized as one. The black man is in a unique position because he has fewer outlets to express his frustrations in than his woman. He can't very well complain of menstrual cramps once a month or get excused for his off-time erratic behavior by blaming it on PMS. He has to handle it 24/7, 52 per year. One of the arenas he has used for self-expression of his feelings, his mood, his superiority or rebellion, is his personal appearance. His search for an identity, which was the prominent issue during the 60s, seemingly led him to the notion that, in agreement with whites, who were also seeking a new definition of life at that time, the major inference of consideration was one's obligation to self, who envisioned all of this to mean that he should start having a good time best expressed by his clothes, his leisure, activities, cars, and sports. His self-perception began in his closet. He chose his outer garment body coverings as a tool to portray his self-image. Image is the root word for imagination, most manifested by symbols or signs that project a certain idea or impression. Self-image. Image is the root word for imagination, most manifested by symbols or signs that project a certain idea or impression. Image is a voiceless message. And many of the image messages black men project are visible proof of his scattered ideas and confusing thoughts. Deeply rooted in his psyche is his pre-American history of being ornate. This is best expressed in the intricately decorated findings of the chief, queen, and other members of royal black families who decked out their arboresque outfits, are arabesque. Is it arabesque? Arabesque. 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 A-R-A. Arabesque. An intertwining design of geometric patterns used decoratively in Islamic architecture, a position showing an arabesque design. That's what I thought she was going to say. Black families who decked out in arabesque outfits or intertwining designs of geometric pattern outfits or arabesque and adorned flamboyant jewelry from head to toe. His being an ornamentalist has made him somewhat of a spectacle in many circles. He has a reputation for being intentionally embellished in flashy, conspicuous, high color outfits. His choice of fancy garbs is something he takes special pride in. He delights in receiving special attention for assembling the conglomeration of pieces that attract stares or admiration from unknown bystanders. He wants to project an image of him that donates his baruch, his baruch. Let's see what that is. His baruch expert taste, his baruch expert taste. If I'm pronouncing that right, baruch, 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 Baruque, baruch, 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 baruch. Adjective of painting or sculpture, architecture, literature, and music of the late 16th and 17th century. Baruch. He wants to project an image of him that donates his of painting, of sculpture, architecture, literature, and of music of the late 16th century. Baroque expert taste, or expert taste of that, the 16th century, 16th, 17th century. Baroque expert taste, and ability to organize a look of exceptional good taste on wardrobe selection. His use of symbols has thrived throughout his existence. As he lost contact with more and more attachment, he has passed to his past. He came to rely almost exclusively on outside means to convey his identity. They do believe that clothes indeed create power. No price is too high, no risk is too great, and no mountain is too high enough to keep him from getting and wearing a unique piece of clothing. It also got him extra notice from women who admire such garnishes. In all mammals, the males who are the most fancily plumed or uniquely endowed receive the most attention from the female population. The black man is a natural show-off, and he does it very well, naturally. Those black men who are not artificially competitive tend to place less importance on outer appearance. Clothes are just to cover the body to them, and they are more embroiled with internal issues. Of course, some of them cannot afford to dress as finely as they would prefer. However, even among that unaffected group, there are certain rules that must be followed to ensure a basic measure of acceptance from the black public. These rules, which no one knows how to originate, or who made, which no one knows how they originated, or who made them up, consist of standards such as: number one, he is not to wear plaids and stripes or polka dots and tweed. Number two, he must not wear wide leg pants or pants without pockets. I can agree with that one. It would just be sweatpants. Today would be the pants without pockets. With my little boys, they got big sweatpants without pants without pockets. He, under no circumstances, is to wear no-name sneakers. All of them got names on them. Number four, he must never put on a pair of pants that land above his ankles. They don't care nothing about that in Jamaica. Call that high waters, my D. Number 5, he cannot adorn a suit with the wrong size lapels. I don't know nothing about that. Number 6, he should not mix unsimilar shades of colors in random sequence. I can agree. These are just examples of the guidelines that are used to measure his public image. Violations of these rules earn him disdain, laughter, mockery, dislike, less consideration, and may cause him to be perceived as unintellectually endowed. It can prevent him from gaining the attention of a woman and imply that he has no style. Style is a word used to clarify not only a particular type of clothing, but a black man's total demeanor. Style is a word used to clarify not only a particular type of clothing, but a black man's total demeanor. That's not coming on him, he must shirt. The use of clothing is a symbol to project an image. And the use of clothing as a symbol to project an image is an ever-changing one because the wearer must assume that the person appraising his appearance is aware of whatever the current standard is. The symbolic image is only effective if the definition of the symbol is widely known and practiced. Usually, the black man creates new definitions for certain symbols. By doing so, he subliminally dictates to the fashion industry which slant their design should lean towards. This occasional turn of fashion designers' efforts into a new creative concept of how to wear it or what to wear with it. They set the standard, and in many cases define what the season-to-season style will be. The brand names they revere are routinely the names of white males or reflective of white imagery taken from white experiences. Polo. In refining his image, somewhere along the line, he developed a positional stance referring to as cool. Cool is explicitly defined by them as, number 1, to be able to dress fine and stand absolutely still. That ain't cool. Number 2, not to become ruffled under pressure. Okay, yeah, I agree. Number 3, slow walking, slow talking, low voice or quiet. Number 4, to proudly be the first to display some outlandish style. Number 5, be impeccably dressed and color coordinated at all the time. Yeah, I guess. To drive a slick, expensive model of car and act unaffected. Yeah. To stand back from the crowd and not reveal what he is thinking. I think that's cool. Be by himself a lot. Keep a non-committal look on his face and show no emotion. 10. My bad, I lost all the numbers. 10. To be very conservative in his lifestyle and clothing selection. I think that's cool. There exist several visible cliques of black men who have affiliated themselves with various religious causes, which doctrinate, which dictate they wear non-Western attire. If nothing else, get down some. There exist several visible cliques of black men who have affiliated themselves with various religious causes, which dictate they wear non-Western attire. If nothing else, they are bold since they go against the fashion grain of what black men usually wear. These men dress in long white or brightly colored gowns or robe-like outfits that are patterned after Eastern fashions. The design of these garments were specifically arrived at by Easterners in warm climates because their light color reflects heat and covers the body loosely for comfort and ventilation. The black man or black men who wear these draping outfits mostly are seen in them in the summer. The fabrics are usually cotton, rayon, or a polyester blend to promote coolness. These black men will wear some type of matching baggy pants under their long robe-like tops, or they wear regular slacks. Their fashion statement is usually not effectively seen to project their image during the winter because they either have to wear large shawls or capes or a regular Western design overcoat or jacket. This is due to the fact that since these garments are worn in warm eastern climates, they do not have matching coats or winter wear for frigid seasons, as they do not have any. This makes wearing sandals in winter counterproductive to providing protection and warmth. Yeah. The American climate is not really conducive to wearing African style clothing year round. This presents somewhat of a problem, which has not yet been solved by black men who wear these types of clothing. Their desire is to reflect their honorable efforts to dress like their ancestors and to identify with them by wearing a symbol of their ancient attire. Come here! Their outfits are also to project an idea of their black consciousness and refusal to wear Western style clothing. Their sparse numbers make them a spectacle, and it is falsely assumed that if a black man is wearing a complete outfit of African or Eastern clothes, that is culturally aware. That is culturally aware. It is a costume of escape. Many of them wear those outfits to get special attention, or just to rebel against a popular norm, or to make dressing simpler or more predictable. Some of them are clean, and others are shabby looking or soiled. Ornate by nature, black men also look flashy, oversized. Also like, my bad, flashy, oversized, attention attracting jewelry. If they can obtain or afford it. Big rings, long neck chains, thick links or bands. Some of them are so impressed with their names or their nicknames as their special identity that they have specially made diamonds or gold pieces with their names emblazoned in recognizable lettering. I got it in wood, shallow. The standard is that every black man who is on top of style must have an admirable piece of jewelry on his person somewhere. And most and must be verifiably real. Hey, come here! Come here! meaning it must be gold, silver, or contain precious stones like diamonds, rubies, or emeralds. On the lower end, onyx, carnelian, ivory, agate, or amber is acceptable. The more unusual the design or assembly of stones, the more prized the piece is considered to be. DJ, come here. Come here. Roll and roll and see what he doing. DJ, DJ, come here. Man, come here. Both of y'all, come here. I know y'all ain't been calling you. What's going on with y'all? What's going on? Okay, well, y'all need to stop all that fighting. That's probably what was going on. Y'all can either sit in here and listen to the book that's being read, or you want to what you gonna do? You want to sit on me? All right, come on. All right, let's listen. Don't hit the drum. Let's listen. Let's listen. All right. The standard is that every black man who is on top of style must have an admirable piece of jewelry on his person somewhere. It must be a very viable, real, meaning it must be gold, silver, or contain precious stones like diamonds, rubies, or emeralds. On the lower end, onyx, carnelian, ivory, agate, or amber is acceptable. The more unusual the design or assembly of stones, the more prized the piece is considered to be. They vie with each other to be the most different. They make it a point to not want to own anything similar or just like each other. The younger black males often do the opposite. They make their likeness in dress a kind of requirement for acceptance of each other. They perceive their likeness in wardrobe to signify their unity of ideas about what is decent or all that, which are examples of some of the vernacular they made up themselves to communicate covertly to each other about approved items. Their search for an identity or identifying symbols is a desperate, pitiful one, just like their fathers. The black man's hair has also been an accessory to try to establish his identity. Certain groups have always assumed their own haircut style, or beard shape, or sideburns. A haircut is very important. Certain jobs they pursue have definite hairstyle requirements. The most consistent haircut and the one perceivably accepted in the majority of circles he frequents is the closely shaven one with low sides and a small amount on top, with possibly a part on either side of his head. This is the conservative choice. However, they have experimented with many other styles, like the process, achieved by a lye-based chemical which straightens their hair and is then indented in rows with designs to simulate waves, possibly a few curls, in a pompadour top, or just slick back. They abandoned this one, mostly worn by entertainers, because it was too hard to maintain. They also adopted the Afro hairstyle, consisting of a wild puffed up circle of hair shaped like a globe. Chemicals and spray were also developed to maintain this look that they wore to identify themselves as being proud of their formerly disdained nappy or kinky hair. They agreed to voluntarily no longer try to chemically force their hair into looking similar to the straight or fluffy look of white males. Variations of the afro have survived through the years and are still somewhat acceptable as long as it is not too prominent in length. As long as it's not too big. And nothing wrong with a big old fro. The black men wearing braids or dreadlocks too. Other hairstyles they chose, like the Jerry curl, consisted of a chemical that artificially made them have curly, shiny locks of varying lengths. All I can think of is coming to America whenever he was sitting on that chair. Let your soul glow. Oh, man. This hairstyle requires a lot of care, a lot of accessory products to keep it shiny and moist looking, and was greasy to the touch. This look had no radical identifying overtones and just represented a trendy look inspired by hair salons and hair product manufacturers to capture the black dollars spent on permanent waves or in regular barbershops. The box hairstyle created by more youthful black males popped up a few years ago, conceivably attached to boredom and an attempt to be different. It started out short, got higher and higher, and eventually started to look like a tall crown, a tall crown of sorts, with the hair cut very close to on the sides of the head. This no doubt gives many of them a subtle sense of royalty of the wearing of the crown of sorts. Then came many variations of this cut, different slants, angles, and curves. Next came the procedure of shaving off portions of the hair in odd configurations, having several parts cut into the hair in unique designs, and even to having certain symbols or names carved into the hair to advertise or identify with individual ideas or interpretations. Even adult black men commenced to get several parts neatly carved into their hair. Others attach so much meaning to having a head of hair that they wear wigs on top of a bald spot, or even more modernly, they get hair weaves. Them pieces. While women can get away with fooling bystanders about the length or texture of her hair, a man cannot. Every black man who wears a hairpiece or has a hair weave is spotted immediately. Some wear them like an extra hat. Some wear them like an extra hat because their presence, recognizable or not, uplifts their confidence and makes them feel equal. They spend a great deal of money and time selecting expensive smells, aftershave lotions, and talcums. Stop. Don't hit this one. Their wardrobe standards require they wear a name brand fragrance. Whatever a popular or expensive brand is the one they seek out to splash themselves with. Some of them wear more Eastern fragrances found in body oils. They use many cosmetics attached to shaving. They even use liquid or pancake makeup, which they also think is unnoticeable, but they use it anyway to you all right? You going to sleep, boy? Some of their wear more Eastern fragrances found in body oils. They use many cosmetics attached to shaving. They even use liquid or pancake makeup, which they also think is unnoticeable, but they use it anyway to you all right? You going to sleep, boy? Some of their wear more Eastern fragrances found in body oils. They use many cosmetics attached to shaving. They use They use liquid or pancake makeup, which they also think is unnoticeable, but they use it anyway to make others think that they have smooth, creamy looking skin. They also use the cut of their mustaches to project their individual image. Other black men decide to wear their hair long in flamboyant styles or the jagged mop-like dreadlock hairstyle, long or short. All of these looks are attempts to make a statement that expresses their position, either about their blackness or sophistication. It has not worked. They have established certain looks. Hey, get out of there, boy. They have established certain looks and behaviors to designate themselves as having ideas and a culture of their own. It's interesting to note that their symbols are transferable. If a white male shows up in their circle who has studied how to look, dress, talk, walk, and dress black, he is apt to be accepted into the group based on his identification with the symbols the black man has established as qualifiers for inclusion. The technique of copying symbols is also used by blacks who desire leave it alone. Blacks who desire to function among whites and receive acceptance for their ability to display and mimic the symbols inherent in white life. Black men do not. The technique of copying symbols is also used by blacks who desire to function among whites and receive acceptance for their ability to display and mimic the symbols inherent in white life. Black men do not arbitrarily oust other nationalities from their groups, especially if that person can fit in by being the same as them. They will even start to refer to the white male in their midst as a brother by virtue of his physical actions or sounds. Many of them refer to whites by the term brother, even if they do not function as to resemble their symbols. They do this to remind white males that they are related and to remind themselves that they are the same. Black men answer any questions a white man may walk up to them and ask. They give all the information they know about any given subject when called upon. It's almost automatic for them to quickly respond, dressed up or not. The latest trend among black males is to seek out ethnic items to donate their pride in their blackness. They are great advertisers. They delight in wearing garments advertising Reebok, Nike, Adidas, Fila, Puma, or other popular names, just as much as they do in wearing a strip of kente cloth, a fez hat, a kufi, an African pendant, Pan-African colors of red, black, and green, or an entire African costume. They are strictly dealing with symbols, which they define as having um, identifiable meaning, or so they think. The resurgence in African clothing and African products really only represents a change in fashion and is a profitable trend for manufacturers. T-shirts stating political or amusing statements are not popular because they let the black man wear a sign which supposedly announces his identity or position. Some of them wear T-shirts boldly imprinted with vulgar sentences or words or pictures. They do not see them as offensive and consider themselves brave for taking the challenge of wearing a sign. They are trying to make that an identity for themselves. They already have an identity, but they reject it because it requires them to change the way they think and live. They are too mentally lazy to attempt this, so they continually rely on external shields they can wear and forget about. To further the gossip regularly circulated about their mythological grandiose sexuality, many black men purposely select clothes to accentuate their sexual presence. They try to formulate an identity by wearing shirts half open to the waist, revealing their chests. They walk down the street in biker shorts, displaying the outline of their penis. They might wear tight fitting pants to hug their thighs or buttocks, or they wear skimpy swim trunks, also chosen to draw attention to the imprint of their sex organ. Some just choose to walk around with no shirt on at all, or in short shorts to display their bodies and hopefully their virility, and hopefully their virility. The black woman uses clothes to look better. Black men use them to feel better. These days, modern surgical technology makes it possible for the black man to make physical cosmetic changes in his looks. They can get a nose job and change the shape or size of his beak. He can have his ears pinned back. He can have his lips trimmed and his eyes widened. He can reconstruct his entire face, including his eyes with contacts, to look as much like a black European as possible. These are vain actions that further demonstrate his dissatisfaction with himself. Few black men demonstrate, few black men have their nose made flatter or wider, and none desire to have their lips enlarged. The black man has internalized the jokes of and racial slurs about his proud, distant, and different African facial features. This is also obviously the attitude of black men who use a tad of chemical hair straightener in his hair to create a slight curl or wave. He is still trying to emulate the looks and hair texture of the group he says are his oppressors. He does everything he can to look as much like them because he thinks it will make him more acceptable. It will make him more acceptable and allow him to blend in more. But he can never get very far from his actual skin color unless he is so fair skinned as to be able to pass for white. Some of them do that too. They want to be as far removed from their blackness as possible. While it is important to be able to speak the language used to communicate in America, the black man will adopt the European style of talking and tone of voice. That on the telephone makes it impossible to determine whether he is white or black. While speaking this way in itself may be considered harmless, the problem lies in the black man not only copying the language, but mimicking the ideas, attitudes, and priorities of others. The use of specialized language man. The use of specialized language intonations of another race or nationality makes the black man take on an entire mental disguise to imitate others and become further removed from the complications of his own nationality. The use of specialized language intonations of another race or nationality makes the black man take on an entire mental disguise to imitate others and become farther removed from the complications of his own nationality. They use the language as a defense mechanism to deny their identity and to absorb others. As a final revelation regarding black men proudly wearing name brand and designer sneakers while walking around claiming they are trying to reclaim their African culture, the word Nike is defined as the name of the winged goddess of victory in Greek mythology. It is doubtfully, it is doubtful that any black man or black teenage male in America knows that the white woman named Nike, who they honor. Let's see. Let's see about Miss Nike. Let's see if it's in here. Let's see if we got it in here. Nike. It's the ultimate encyclopedia on mythology. Let's look at Nike. Celtic. She said Greek. Nikey. Yeah, Nike. Nike's not in here. Nike. Nike's not in here. All right. Well, we'll have to look up Nike some other time. Nike. As a final revelation regarding black men proudly wearing name brand and designer sneakers while walking around claiming they are trying to reclaim their African culture, the word Nike is defined as the name of the winged goddess of victory in Greek mythology. The winged goddess of victory. Nike. It is doubtful that any black man or black teenage male in America knows that the white woman named Nike, who they honor and represent by wearing sneakers, caps, sweatsuits, socks, and other items, is not representative of African or any other non-white culture. Much of what the black man says, wears, does, or supports is in direct contradiction to his verbal expressions of being a true black man, or his attempts to reconnect to his pre-slavery legacy. The black man should investigate all of the labels, words on the clothing he wears, so that he will understand how confusing he appears to intelligent people. He should not wear signs or symbols which are alien to his blackness. His clothes do not have to have a name on them at all to serve the purpose of covering the body neatly. I believe that. Black men are drawn to wearing garments with names on them, because it gives them an identity. He knows nothing about the companies he supports with his patrons or his money. Questions for everybody. Do you lie most of the time? Do you know why you lie? Can you talk without cursing? Do you curse in front of elders? Do you curse in front of your children? Do you consider yourself intelligent and wise? So that was chapter 3. And we're coming up on chapter 4, will be communications. And I guess that's why all those questions are being asked for chapter 4, communication. But that was chapter 3, appearance. Appearance. A lot of funny stuff in there for me. Bless you. I guess I'd fall under the dreadlock. No name brand. Well, I got no name brand. Okay, Nike, ancient Greek goddess who personified victory. Her Roman equivalent was Victoria. Victoria. Let's see. Let's look at Victoria. Victoria. Roman equivalent was Victoria. Oh, you know Victoria. Roman equivalent was Victoria. Let's go. Greek and Rome. Mix of Greece and Rome. Achilles. Amazon. Brutus. Victoria. Hermes. Jason. Janice. Monster. Odysseus. I wonder, okay, she's the goddess of victory. Founder. Venus. Victory. I mean, Victoria. Victoria. Hang in here. This damn mythology book. Let me see what that is. Let's see if it's in this one. Let's try this one. Let's see. gonna be in this one. Let's see, V, Nike. Victoria. Well, that's it. We'll come back and read chapter 4 another time of The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man by Sister Shahrazad Ali. We're just trying to figure out who this Nike lady was. But siblings, credos. I see Cecilia in there. Let's see. Let's try to figure out who this Nike is. If it's in there. You see Kratos. You see Kratos is in here. Kratos not in here. Baya. Lapis. Lapis. Lapis not in here. Nike assumed the role of the divine charioteer, a role in which she often is portrayed in classical Greek art. Nike flew around battlefields, rewarding the victors by a wreath of laurel leaves, bay leaves. A wreath. Let's see, a wreath. Man. Bay leaves. Let's see, you got bay leaves. Laurel. Yeah. Laurel, 94, page 94. Let's see. Laurel says 94. Laurel. Laurel. It's in the tree section. Laurel. In North Africa, the laurel is believed to repel evil, while in Greco-Roman tradition, it represented victory, peace, purification, and divination. The laurel is also an attribute of the god Apollo and a symbol of eternity. The laurel. That's something. Apollo. Man, Apollo got a lot of stuff in here. 15. Follow on. Apollo. I see nothing referencing tonight. But yeah, thank you, Devin. Appreciate the shout out. I appreciate the answers to the questions, the definitions, since they didn't have them in my books. But yeah, we'll come back next time. Next time with the chapter 4, communications with the Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. Shalom. Shalom.